Hey Trey, what's happening, my man? Greetings from Europe, from Ireland. You've got a huge fan base here as always. First of all, Bound for Glory, a date that changed your life, no doubt. What was it like to become X Division champion, first of all?
Oh man. Well, I cried on TV. The world saw it. And it is it weird. I probably watched that match back a million times just because I don't quit feeling the feeling like I felt right in the ring when it happened. It was something that nothing could ever recreate. Well, I'm not married and I don't have children, but I wrestling really means a lot to me, and I can I guess without the experience, I would equivalent it to something like that. I mean, like, I feel like I graduated life in that moment. I spent my entire life chasing a dream of just becoming a professional wrestler. And then once that happened, you're like, okay, well, you start learning how hard it is to make it and how many avenues you have to take and how much real work that goes in behind the scenes that fans have no idea about, all the traveling, all the going to shows you're not booked on and setting up rings and tearing them down and getting stuck working sound one day and then wrestling the next and having fans notice it and question you awkwardly in between, like, why are you doing this one day and then this the next? I mean, like, there's just so much stuff that you deal with. And then to finally get that payoff after 12 years on the biggest stage that Impact offers for the championship, that means more to me than any other championship in all of professional wrestling. I mean, I seriously feel like I graduated life, man.
I agree. And Trey, we have to speak about the belt in general. Like any wrestling fan will know, it's one of the most prestigious titles in all of wrestling history. People like AJ Styles, you know what I mean? It's Samoa Joe. There's some great champions over the years, but there's going to be a lot of targets on your head when it comes to defending this championship. It's prestigious. I think anyone that has that on their CV, it's a serious deal. But there's going to be a lot of guys trying to challenge you. What kind of guys do you expect to come at you at this moment in time?
No one's a bigger challenge to me than myself. I'm constantly in my own head, in my own feelings. I have to push myself. Like, no one else is my competition. I got to be better than I was yesterday. And if this was the day after Bound for Glory, if I won the belt yesterday, well, I need to be better than that today. And it's a ever building snowball effect. So, like you said, I mean, there's more targets on my back than ever before, but I mean, that comes with it. That's the price you pay. And that's something everyone understands before you become a champion. And if you don't understand that, then don't fight for a championship, you know?
I agree. We have to speak of Impact Wrestling. Look, it's the hottest brand in all of world wrestling. It's incredible. It just gets better and better every week, and it's hard. It's hard. Like, one week you're saying it can't be topped, and then it's topped the following week. But look, first of all, an incredible roster. How proud are you of Impact at this moment in time? Because look, every week it's trending. It's incredible.
It feels. I take a lot of pride in being a part of Impact Wrestling, not only as an active wrestler, but I mean, like, as a family. Impact is one of my favorite locker rooms I've ever been in, and the talent that we hone and harness is second to none. I think if things were a little different on paper and how the fans perceive things, that there would be nothing stopping us. I don't think that there's much stopping us now, but lack of exposure, I guess. But I mean, with trending every week being, um, I don't think we're in competition with anyone, but I mean, we're all on TV every week, WWE, AEW, NXT. Like, there's a lot of wrestling that's accessible, and to be regrowing from I mean, like, wrestling died over COVID almost, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's trying to pick up the pieces and put them back together. And I'm so proud of the way that Impact has navigated those waters and come out the other side a better product than we went into the pandemic. I think the pandemic taught us a lot about ourselves and how much we'll fight for the company that we love.
Definitely. So we have to speak of the fans, because look, you mentioned COVID pandemics. You know what I mean? Here in Europe, it's quite hard. In England and Ireland, it's probably at its worst. But it's obviously good to have fans back. What does the fans mean to you? Obviously, look, we know there was a long time where fans weren't left into arenas. A lot of kind of stuff is going on behind the scenes. But obviously, it's great to have the fans back.
So when we at Impact, the first show that we had fans back for was Slammiversary, and the opening match of that card was the Ultimate X match, and I was the first entrance out. And, you know, right before we shoot live, there's the, you know, the warning, please all, you know what I mean? Like if you've ever been to like a house show, when that deep ass voice comes over the thing, you're like, oh, we're getting ready. And then, you know, you see the opening package, and I'm waiting in Gorilla, and I'm getting goosebumps under this hoodie thinking about it. It was one of those moments where I had to hold back tears, because for the past year inside of that exact room, like that very room, we had been imagining a crowd being there and pretending that we're like everything's the same, and it's not. And it's so taxing, not only on your body, because wrestling comes with a price, you know. It hurts, and every slam you got to get up from, without a crowd there, it's so much harder to get up. Without a real dose of adrenaline, I mean, that's something that you can't fake. You cannot fake the feeling. You can't fake the funk. It's either there or it's not. And having it back, I mean, everyone on that day was so charged, and that's just that's it's one of those things that's just like intangible. Like you can't artificially make this. You can't like pay fans, but hey, like this is what we need. Like if it's either it happens organically or it doesn't. And that was one of the most awesome things. I don't even think Impact, like, I don't know if they did that on purpose or like, hey, yeah, let's send Trey out there first or whatever. But I mean, like, it meant the most to me. You know what I mean? The first wrestler that they get to see live, and I'm just like, oh, that's a gift, man. That's something I'll forever hold dear to my heart, because that was a hard year. It was so hard imagining fans and hands. And I think the worst part was making entrances. When I would shoot jobs like working in a Burger King or something like that, dude, when I got to bust open the freezer door every day, carrying out a bag of Whoppers and a bag of fries when I was 16, every time I shoved a door open, I imagined I was pulling a curtain. And it sucks when the job that you were imagining requires an imagination too. Like that was just the worst feeling in the world. You know what I mean? All you have is the lights and the cameras, but nothing else. And we made it through. But for a while, I'm fortunate, or I'm not fortunate. I guess I'm fortunate, but I'm grateful for those times, because it really it leveled the playing field. WWE, AEW, Impact, we all look the same on TV. So it really boiled down to, what is the wrestling like? What are the stories like? What are the angles like? Like, without the bells and the whistles, it's just really about what each company is putting out. And I felt like Impact held their fucking own like no other, and it made us a better company for it.
Agree 100%. Trey, you mentioned all the hard work that's gone in, right? So clearly, you're incredible couple of years, and you're still in your 20s, young guy, do you know what I mean? You're well experienced, but tell us about the hard grit. Obviously, people see things, we see documentaries and stuff, but obviously you have to sacrifice a lot. People don't realize that there's so much sacrifice, putting away rings. We've often been at shows before a show starts, we see them putting the ring together. Afterwards, the wrestlers will come back out. And we're talking elite wrestlers. They'll put the ring back together. Like, tell us about the true grit and determination, because, look, you've already achieved so much in your young career. And obviously that's down to pure determination. Tell us about that journey. The fans will want to know.
I'm a firm believer that you only get out of wrestling what you put into it. And that's, as a trainer, that's something I really, really preach to my students. There are guys that you'll see, show up late, skip the ring setup, just do their match, get some food, skip tear down, get their envelope, and they'll do this for a while. But I mean, the universe works in a way that, like, you just can't manipulate. It's gonna catch up to you. You might have the most awesome 10 years skating by, not paying dues, and then one day life's just gonna get you. And like, I don't mean that viciously or vindictively, but I'm just such a true believer in energies, and what you put out is what you receive. If you send out a negative energy, you're going to receive negative energy. If you put out positive, you'll receive positive. I feel like wrestling is in a current state where it's all about instant gratification, and you don't see these struggle stories anymore. You don't really see the gritty, I'm really paying dues. And I'm not saying that people aren't out there doing it, but I mean, I think it's being overshadowed by the dude that's been wrestling a year that gets on AEW Dark and then has 4 matches run and now is just getting booked all over the indies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just, everyone's journey is different, but I do think the trajectory in which people are being brought up is drastically changing by the day. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I do think stories like my own are becoming fewer and far between. I care about what the fans think, and as many people like me, there are about 3, 4, 5 times as many that don't, and the emptiest cans bang the loudest. So you'll read 100 comments of being praised, and then someone just like, he's Diet Ricochet, and I'm just like, now like that. Now that's all I think I am, and I mean it's one comment, and from someone that doesn't battle with mental health issues, you're like, one comment, sticks and stones, dude, get over it. But it's like, wrestling's my life, and if I can't find a way to just like stand out and be me and stay in a positive life, and it constantly feels like I'm getting this wrong. That's the worst feeling in the world. This is so hard to navigate.
I can only imagine. But listen, haters are going to hate. As you say, you're doing something right. Now, we have to speak quickly, right? There's a lot of rumors, and there's you know what I mean. There's forbidden doors and stuff. But I did see a little tweet the other day that caught my attention. Trey Miguel versus Will Ospreay, dream match. No, look,
I wrestled Will Ospreay in 1 week.
Yeah, like it's as you say. Look, there's so many names being thrown out. I've seen Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. You know what I mean? Why not bring them to Trey Miguel's yard? I like that thought. What's your thoughts on Forbidden Door? Look, it's kind of after quite a number small, but it kind of blew up, and there was a lot of stuff being mentioned. But what's your take on Forbidden Door and these free agents, and obviously Will Ospreay? They're three kind of topics.
I feel like the Forbidden Door is starting to get a little sticky. It's not opening so wide anymore. Yeah. At the beginning of it, I took a step back, and you have to think like, how is this helping the product outside of what it's selfishly doing for me or not doing for me? You know what I mean? So immediately you're like, okay, this could lead to me possibly working somewhere else, working some other talent. And then it didn't do that for me personally, but that doesn't mean be sour about it. You know what I mean? I care about fans more than I care about myself and whether or not they're enjoying what's happening in the world of wrestling, because I'm not able to be a fan of this anymore. It's so hard to be. It's just, wrestling is so jaded. It seriously is. I love it and I hate it. But you have to ask yourself, are the fans enjoying this? Well, they have to be. This is the most open the world of wrestling has ever been. You don't know who's going to show up where. Wrestling's on TV 5 days during the week, and then you have the independents on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, like, if there was ever a time to be a wrestling fan, it's now. You know what I mean? So as a wrestler, I wish I would have had an opportunity to either have the Forbidden Door swing towards me or away from me to, enter something, but it never did, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. But for the time that it was happening, I'm really happy that the wrestling fans got to witness something like that. I never personally witnessed anything like that, as only a fan. I can only imagine how cool that was. It had to be awesome.
Definitely. And what's your take on, obviously, look, we're going to have to mention them, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman. Look, names will change, aliases will change, but would you welcome these kind of guys to Impact? Obviously, big household names. And look, there's a lot of respect there for Bray Wyatt. Good guy, from what everyone says,
Mm-hmm. Man, to have Bray Wyatt there, that'd be really cool. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, this locker room's just filling up with ex-WWE. You know what I mean? It's like, this locker room is I look at it like the potential of this locker room continues to grow. If we invite more people that were obviously good enough to work for the biggest wrestling company in the world for so long, then obviously they're pretty damn good, and we should be glad to have them. If it were particularly Bray Wyatt, I'd definitely be up for it, dude. I'm not like a mark for when stuff happens, but I thought it was really, really, really damn cool when I did the Power Slide Destroyer and Bray Wyatt in the Fiend gimmick quote tweeted it and was just like, that's pretty damn cool, man. Like, guy's never met me, doesn't know anything about me, is pretty kayfabe online, and saw something that he was a fan of and shed some light on it to a kid that's just trying to hold his own in a match I don't think I belonged in at the time, being the world championship match at Slammiversary. I was like, this is weird. But, getting to the locker room afterward and then seeing like Bray Wyatt was watching the match and quote tweeted, I was like, That's cool, dude. This is my nephew's favorite wrestler. My nephew don't care about nothing as much as he cares about the Fiend, dude. Like, I come in my best friend Brent's house, and the dude grabs his little mask thing and pulls it up over his face. He just wants to be the Fiend for Uncle Trey, like 24/7. I was like, how could I not love the Fiend? My nephew loves the Fiend. It's what makes my nephew happy, dude. That put the biggest smile on my face.
No, it's a good take. Who knows? Maybe down the road we'll get it. And look, you mentioned World Championship, Trey, right? Look, you're destined for absolute greatness. You're already achieving greatness. But look, Moose, World Championship, is it fair to say somewhere down the road you will be the Impact World Champion?
I won't say it's not fair to think that, but I will say I think it's fair to assume it won't be because I ever do option C. That's my option A. That's the if that's in my possession, I'm not risking it for another this or a different belt or a opportunity. That's stupid to me. It's like having a lottery ticket that you like. Literally, it's like a specifically printed Christmas design lottery ticket that's worth $1 million. You scratched off on it and won, and someone just like, hey, this one's just a little bit bigger from an inch higher, and no, I'm just not with it, dude. This thing means way too much to me.
Just before you go, give us a quick look at the belt. All the fans want to see. We can see it to the side, but we have to see it up close. That is beautiful. Absolute beautiful. Beautiful. That's for all the Irish and European fans.
I miss Ireland, man. I haven't been there since we did Over the Top Wrestling in 2019. It's been a long time since we've been over there.
We were there. It was great. That was in Cork.
Yep.
Yeah, my hometown, incredible. That was a great.
We had More Than Hype that night.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Or no, was the last one that we went to? That was Session Moth's going away party, right?
Yeah, in Dublin.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yes, in Dublin. That was the last one that we were there for.
Good times. So listen, Trey, we're looking forward to potentially, obviously, a European tour next year. If Impact does come back to the UK and Ireland, we'll be ready. And as I said, look, it's a pleasure. You're absolutely great. Keep up the good work, and we're proud of you as always.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime, Trey. Thank you.